I still think it's important to dress well, and people who know me might be laughing at me saying that.
A man who doesn't wear socks, very rarely wears pants. Have you got on me today?
I'm just largely disorganised.
No, you're not.
Sorry about that.
He plays it, but you're pretty good.
No, so Neve's suggested that being a sport reporter might enable you to wear tracksuit pants to work, but I have tried.
And flashy, you know, those shiny ones with the stripes down the side.
Yeah, rappers' tracksuits. Yes. If you want to get involved in what we're discussing on News Breakfast this morning, send your emails to breakfast@your.abc.net.au, or you can join the conversation on Facebook and Twitter. I'm
disturbed you knew about the rappers. If you can't catch News Breakfast on ABC TV, join us live on the web. You head to the main ABC News site at abc.net.au/news. You'll find a link to the program. We are streamed live every day, and you can stream us on iView as well.
Now, just 3 months out from the state election, New South Wales Labor has endorsed Upper House MP Luke Foley as its new leader. But can the new opposition leader win a state election from the Upper House? Luke Foley joins us now from Sydney. Luke Foley, thanks very much for joining us. We know you can't win it from the Upper House. You have to get to the other house to make it happen, but that seems to be in the offing.
That's right, Paul. I've said I will not accept a parachute into a lower house seat, but I will put my name forward in a proper pre-selection for the seat of Auburn. I live locally. The Labor pre-selection has been called as a rank-and-file pre-selection. That's what I want. I'll put myself before the party members in Auburn as Labor's candidate for that seat.
Why did you have to be talked into this job?
Well, I simply talked to my wife and children over Christmas, over 3 or 4 days. We wanted to ensure that if I do this job, I'll still be a husband and a father. It was a good conversation. We had those quiet days over Christmas, and my wife and my children are totally supportive of me doing this job.
Well, the kids looked pretty happy yesterday anyway, but
yeah.
It's going to be a gruelling time for you. What would success look like to you at the end of this election campaign?
Well, Paul, I'm in it to win it. I know I and Labor are outsiders in this contest, but I've seen plenty of upsets on the sporting field. What I'll do is put forward my values, a fair go for all, a helping hand to those most in need, and my vision for the state. New South Wales as an economic powerhouse, the great jobs generator in the nation, and the nation's social conscience at the same time.
Well, you're a long way back. It's not a sporting contest, and many would say it's impossible for you to pick up the seats you needed to take government. Are you realistically looking at just winning enough seats so that Labor is in a decent position for next time around? Is that the reality of your situation?
I'll leave the commentary to others. I'm in this fight to win it. I'll relish the battle with Premier Baird. It won't be personal. It'll be a battle of ideas, and I bring a vision for the state that prioritises creating jobs through all of our suburbs, all of our regions. That's the great congestion buster, to create jobs close to where people live so they have less of a commute, more time with their loved ones. I want us to invest in schools and hospitals and TAFE. The double whammy of cuts at the state level and cuts from Tony Abbott's budget mean that our public schools, our public TAFE system, our public hospitals have been hit hard by the Liberals and Nationals.
How much will you take from the Victorian campaign and the success of Daniel Andrews?
Well, obviously, Daniel Andrews and Victorian Labor's success has put a spring in everyone's step in the Labor Party. But of course the issues are different here. But what is the same, I think, in all states is an anger at the very harsh and unfair cuts that Tony Abbott and Joe Hockey have inflicted on our public health and public education systems.
Which is something that Daniel Andrews and the Labor Party in Victoria really played strongly to in the lead up to the Victorian elections. So is that going to be your pitch, the anti-Abbott pitch?
I'll be talking strongly about the need for our state to invest in our public schools, our technical and further education system and our public hospitals. You give most people a good chance in life when you provide them with high quality education and health. They have to be accessible. $4.7 billion of cuts courtesy of the Liberal National New South Wales government, when combined with $25 billion of cuts from Tony Abbott's budget, means a very severe attack on our public health and education systems, and of course I'll be highlighting that through the campaign and proposing alternative policies to invest in our schools and TAFE and hospital systems.
I wonder whether you will be suggesting any policies to do with infrastructure, and I say that because you're at odds with the government at the moment over state-owned assets and what to do with privatisation of some of those assets. So you might be in a situation where you have to explain how you might pay for the improvements that you're suggesting.
Of course, Paul, and my undertaking is to present Labor's infrastructure policy to the people of this state early in the election campaign. So after Australia Day, when schools are back and the election campaign begins, I will release Labor's infrastructure policy, and that of course will tell people not only what projects we'll commit to, but also the funding arrangements that we'll put in place. But Premier Barry O'Farrell said electricity privatisation is not a silver bullet for the state's infrastructure needs. They're his words, not mine. Of course, there are many ways to fund infrastructure. We don't have to sell off our electricity network and leave the state budget $1 billion worse off through lost dividends every year, because that will mean a cut to teacher numbers and nurse numbers and police numbers when $1 billion disappears through those lost dividends from the annual budget of the state.
And do you expect the future of ICAC to be a discussion in the next 12 weeks, or will that be sidelined by any sort of delays on decisions to be made about the investigative powers, etc., which are being challenged at law?
I think there should be a discussion through the campaign about building a corruption-resistant political system in New South Wales. I certainly commit wholeheartedly and definitively to a strong and powerful independent commission against corruption continuing in New South Wales. I won't comment on the matters going to the High Court. I respect the separation of powers between the parliaments and the courts, but what I can assure people is that I am totally committed to a strong, powerful, robust anti-corruption body in the ICAC in New South Wales, and I'll have some more to say about that in the next few days.
Luke Foley, thanks for your time this morning, and no doubt we will speak again before that big election in New South Wales.
I look forward to it, Paul.
Now let's get all the sport news. A big cricket game at the SC